Welcome to English Chill Talks. Slow conversations, clear English, and thoughtful ideas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am Alex, joined by my co-host, Sarah.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here today. We have such a powerful topic to dive into.
We really do. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this all week.
Me too. It is something that affects literally every part of our lives, right?
Totally. Whether it's work, relationships, or just how we feel inside.
For sure. Today we're helping you build that inner strength.
It is going to be a deep dive. Let's get started.
So, Alex, how do you actually define confidence?
Honestly, I think it's just trust in your own ability to handle things.
That is a great way to put it. It's not about knowing everything.
Right, it's more about knowing you can figure it out as you go.
Speaking of which, that mindset is such a game changer.
It really is. I used to think I needed a perfect plan before starting.
Exactly. You end up doing nothing because you're scared of a mistake.
Here's the thing. Mistakes are actually where the real confidence is built.
I mean, you can't learn to swim without getting in the water, right?
Exactly, but so many people wait until they feel ready to jump in.
That's the trap. You never actually feel fully ready.
Basically, confidence is a muscle that you have to train every single day.
I love that. It's not a destination, it is a constant practice.
For sure, and we're going to break down exactly how to do that.
Let's talk about the inner critic first. You know, that voice?
Oh man, mine is particularly loud on Monday mornings.
Haha, same. It's always telling us what might go wrong.
To be fair, that voice is just trying to protect us from embarrassment.
Right, but it is usually overreacting to very small risks.
Actually, I read that we have thousands of thoughts a day.
And most of them are repetitive and negative, unfortunately.
Wait, let's back up. How do we actually flip that script?
Well, for starters, you have to notice the thought as it happens.
I guess it's like being a fly on the wall of your own mind.
Exactly. You label it. Say, oh, there's that self-doubt again.
Does that actually work? It sounds almost too simple.
It creates distance. You realize you are not your thoughts.
That makes sense. It's like watching a storm from inside a house.
Precisely. You don't have to get wet just because it's raining outside.
On that note, I found that physical state matters too.
Literally, your body sends signals back to your brain constantly.
If I am slouching, I feel way less capable.
Right, it's like your brain takes cues from your posture.
I mean, even just standing tall for a minute changes your mood.
Totally, it's that fake it till you make it vibe, but scientifically grounded.
Speaking of which, have you ever heard of the spotlight effect?
Is that where we think everyone is looking at us?
Yes, we think people notice every little flaw we have.
The crazy part is, they're too busy worrying about themselves.
Exactly. Everyone is the protagonist of their own movie.
Right? We're all just background characters in everyone else's story.
Once I realized that, I felt so much freer to take risks.
It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
For sure. No one is keeping a scorecard of your minor awkward moments.
To be honest, I still get nervous before big presentations.
Me too, but I think the goal isn't to be fearless.
Right. It's about acting even when you are feeling the fear.
That reminds me of the competence-confidence loop.
Oh, explain that. I think people need to hear this.
Well, you do something small and you succeed at it.
And that success makes you feel a tiny bit more confident.
Then you use that confidence to take a slightly bigger step.
It's a spiral, but in a good way this time.
Exactly. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to act.
I mean, if you just sit on the couch, nothing changes.
Right. You have to give your brain evidence of your ability.
Basically, you're building a resume of wins for yourself.
I love that. Even tiny wins count, right?
Totally. Making your bed or hitting a small deadline, it all adds up.
I guess we often overlook the small stuff because we want the big breakthrough.
But the big breakthrough is just a collection of those small moments.
If you think about it, even Olympic athletes started with the basics.
For sure, they didn't just wake up and win a gold medal.
It's the consistency that builds that unshakable belief.
Let's talk about social confidence for a second.
That's a big one for a lot of people.
Honestly, walking into a room of strangers is terrifying for me.
You? No way. You always seem so collected.
That is just practice and a lot of deep breathing.
To be fair, most of us are just performing a version of ourselves.
Right, but the performance becomes reality over time.
I've found that asking questions is the best social hack.
Because people love talking about themselves, don't they?
Exactly. It takes the pressure off you to be interesting.
Just be interested instead. That's such a great tip.
It really works. You become the best conversationalist by saying the least.
I mean, it's funny because it is so true.
On that note, how do you handle rejection or failure?
Well, I try to see it as data rather than a judgment.
Data? Like a scientist?
Yeah, like if an experiment fails, the scientist doesn't cry.
They just think, okay, that method didn't work. Let's try another.
Exactly. It's just information about what to do differently next time.
That is a very resilient way to look at it.
Mind you, it still hurts in the moment. I'm human.
Right, it's okay to feel the sting, but don't let it stop you.
I think we also compare our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
Social media is the worst for that.
Literally, you see their win, but not the 50 failures before it.
We're comparing our messy reality to their polished image.
It's an unfair fight. You'll lose every time.
Here's the thing. Confidence is also about being okay with being seen as a beginner.
Ooh, that's deep. Most people hate looking like they don't know something.
But you can't become an expert without being a clumsy beginner first.
Right, you have to be willing to look a bit silly.
If you can laugh at yourself, you're basically invincible.
For sure. Humility is actually a sign of high confidence.
Because you don't need to prove you're perfect all the time.
Exactly. You're comfortable enough to admit when you're wrong.
That's actually a trait of great leaders, if you think about it.
Totally. People trust someone who is honest about their mistakes.
Anyway, let's talk about the circle of influence.
You mean the people we spend time with?
Yeah, if your friends are always putting you down, it's a struggle.
It is like trying to swim with an anchor tied to your leg.
I mean, you need people who see your potential, even when you don't.
For sure. But you also need people who will tell you the truth.
Right, not just yes men, but supportive critics.
To be honest, I had to distance myself from a few people for that reason.
Was that hard?
Extremely. But my self-esteem improved almost immediately.
It's amazing how much we absorb the energy of those around us.
It really is. Energy is contagious, for better or worse.
Speaking of energy, what about self-care?
Honestly, if I don't sleep, my confidence drops by half.
I feel that. Everything feels more overwhelming when you're tired.
Right. Your brain doesn't have the fuel to fight off those negative thoughts.
So basically, physical health is the foundation for mental strength.
It's all connected. You can't separate the mind from the body.
I guess it's hard to feel like a boss if you haven't showered in 3 days.
Exactly. Small habits are the building blocks.
I've also found that finishing tasks really boosts my mood.
That dopamine hit of crossing something off a list?
Yes, it's like telling yourself, I am a person who gets things done.
That is a powerful self-identity to have.
It's much better than the identity of, I'm someone who starts and quits.
We have to be careful about the labels we give ourselves.
Right, we often live up to our own expectations, whether they're high or low.
Wait, let's back up. Do you think anyone is truly 100% confident?
Honestly, no. I think everyone has a fear zone.
That's a relief to hear.
For sure, the difference is just how they deal with the fear.
I mean, I've seen world-class performers shaking backstage.
Exactly. They just use that nervous energy to fuel the performance.
It's like turning fear into excitement.
They are physically almost the same feeling, right?
Totally. Fast heart rate, butterflies in the stomach.
If you tell yourself, I'm excited, instead of, I'm scared, it works.
It is a simple cognitive reframe, but it is so effective.
The crazy part is how much our words shape our reality.
I mean, if you say, I'll try, you're already giving yourself an out.
Right. I will has a completely different energy.
For sure. It's a commitment to the outcome.
Speaking of which, let's talk about setting boundaries.
Oh, that's a major confidence booster.
It's the ability to say no without feeling guilty.
Honestly, that was the hardest thing for me to learn.
We want to be liked, so we say yes to everything.
But then we end up burnt out and resentful.
And that resentment kills our inner peace.
Exactly. Saying no is actually saying yes to your own priorities.
It shows that you value your own time and energy.
And people actually respect you more when you have boundaries.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Totally. You'd think they'd be mad, but they usually aren't.
Most people are just glad to know where they stand.
On that note, I think we should talk about the perfectionism trap.
Perfectionism is just fear in a fancy suit.
Ooh, I love that. That is so true.
We think being perfect will protect us from criticism.
But it just keeps us stuck in the planning phase forever.
Right. Done is always better than perfect but unfinished.
I mean, you can improve something that exists.
But you can't do anything with a blank page.
Exactly. Just get the messy first draft out there.
Whether it's a project, a workout, or a conversation.
Speaking of which, I found that curiosity is the enemy of anxiety.
Tell me more about that.
If you're curious about a situation, you're not as afraid of it.
Like, I wonder what will happen if I try this.
Exactly. It turns a threat into an exploration.
That takes the ego out of the equation.
It really does. You're just a traveler on a journey.
I think that's a beautiful way to look at life in general.
Anyway, I think we've covered a lot of the why and how.
We have, but I want to dive even deeper into specific actions.
For sure. Let's move into some real-world examples.
Let's take a common one, asking for a raise at work.
Oh, that makes people's palms sweat just thinking about it.
Honestly, most people just wait and hope they get noticed.
Right, but hope is not a strategy for your career.
Exactly. You have to go in with a list of your wins.
To be fair, you are making a business case, not a personal plea.
That is such a crucial distinction. It's about value.
If you focus on the value you've provided, it's not bragging.
It's just stating facts, and that feels much more confident.
What about dating? That's another high-stress area.
Oh man, the fear of rejection is so high there.
I think the key is to stop trying to be chosen.
Wait, let's back up. What do you mean by that?
Instead of wondering if they like you, ask if you like them.
That is a total power shift. It puts you back in control.
Exactly. It turns it into an interview for them, not just you.
I love that. It takes so much pressure off.
For sure, you aren't auditioning for their love.
You're just seeing if there's a genuine connection there.
Another scenario is public speaking, even just in a meeting.
I used to stay quiet because I didn't want to say something stupid.
We've all been there, but then someone else says the same thing.
And then everyone tells them what a great idea it was.
Exactly. That is the worst feeling.
Now I just tell myself that my voice has value.
It does. Even if the idea isn't perfect, it starts the conversation.
Speaking of which, how do you handle imposter syndrome?
Honestly, I just realized that almost everyone feels like an imposter.
Even the CEO? Even the experts?
Especially them. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
That's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
Precisely. Smart people tend to underestimate themselves.
So if you feel like an imposter, you're probably doing something right.
It means you are growing and pushing your boundaries.
Here's a scenario. What if you fail publicly at something?
Honestly, it's rarely as bad as we imagine it will be.
People usually forget about it within 5 minutes anyway.
Right, they are too worried about their own fail moments.
Basically, the recovery is more important than the mistake.
Exactly. If you own it and laugh, you win the room back.
It's all about how you carry yourself afterward.
We have covered so much ground today, Alex.
We really have. Honestly, it's a lot to take in.
To be fair, we should probably recap the main pillars.
For sure. First, notice that inner critic and label it.
Right. Then use your body to influence your mind.
Don't forget the competence-confidence loop. Start small.
And remember that everyone else is just as nervous as you.
That spotlight effect is such a big one to keep in mind.
Totally. Also, reframe fear as excitement whenever you can.
And finally, be okay with being a beginner.
Perfectionism is the enemy, so just get started.
I mean, if you do even one of these things, you'll see a change.
It's the consistency that really makes it stick long term.
I guess it's like building a house, one brick at a time.
Exactly. And today, we've given you the first few bricks.
Well, that is all the time we have for today.
This was such a blast. I hope you guys found it helpful.
Honestly, I feel more confident just talking about it with you.
Me too. It's a great reminder for both of us.
If you enjoyed this, please share it with a friend who might need it.
For sure. We love hearing your feedback, so keep it coming.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone. Take care.